Welcome to Base and Boundaries podcast. I'm your host, Amy G, and this is your one-stop shop for all things mental health and music. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Base and Boundaries, the one-stop shop for all things mental health and music. I'm joined by somebody really special today who is a hypnotherapist, and his name is Tom. Hello, my lovely. How are you?
Hello, Amy. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you. I do on a Tuesday a mental health episode, and then on a Thursday I'll do one about music and how it impacts people. And I wanted to put you on my Tuesday because hypnotherapy personally has helped me so much. And I've not been on a plane for 15 years, as I was telling you before. And this year is the first time in 15 years I'm going on a plane because I'm no longer frightened. I'm actually really excited about it. So I'm testament of what happens when you use hypnotherapy. So the first thing I always ask you is why? What made you go, that's what I want to do with my life?
Well, how long have we got? How long's this episode?
Because I've got about an hour, so you're all good.
I mean, I can safely say if you would have asked me probably 4 years ago, would I be doing what I'm doing now? Absolutely not. I probably myself was still very skeptical about hypnotherapy or what hypnosis was, because I'd only seen what I'd seen on the TV, you know, Paul McKenna and all that, stage hypnosis, making people dance like a chicken and all that. But yeah, I think the reason why I've ended up where I am is, essentially, I worked in IT for 20 years. So even at school, I studied, IT, went to uni, did a degree in IT, computer science. So it's just a natural progression. I moved into IT. And from there, just progressed from being a desktop engineer, where I'd be fixing computers, replacing monitors, to network engineer, to consultant. And then I was most recently a network architect. So no longer hands-on, no longer really doing what I was doing when I got into IT. It was very much design and sales and sales focused really. So I was just going through a period where, I will call it burnout, where I was just in that role for probably 4 years as an architect, and just always taking work home with me, not really switching off like a lot of people are struggling with now. Expecting to be available 24/7, even though a lot of that was my own expectations, probably not so much from the company I was working for, but I just built it into my role that I was working in. So yeah, just become really disillusioned with life really, and what my purpose was. So yeah, this is probably about, I don't know, probably 4 years ago, where I was questioning, what do I exactly do I want to do with my life now? IT, this isn't long term for me now. So yes, I started delving into other, doing lots of research. I was thinking of going back to uni and doing like a psychology degree or something like that along those lines, because I was always really interested in the mindset and especially around, like sportsmen and, elite athletes and, I suppose experts in field, how they would use their mindset to get that extra edge. So I was really interested in that. One thing led to another, loads of research, one rabbit hole into another rabbit hole, and then stumbled upon hypnotherapy. So I did loads of research like a few years back. And then, I reached out to a few people who were working in hypnotherapy, just to see exactly what it was like day to day. And had some really useful chats with people who were practicing hypnotherapy, who were hypnotherapists, and had a chat with a chap that had followed a very similar path to me. He worked in IT and then IT sales and moved into hypnotherapy. So yes, last February, I enrolled on a hypnotherapy diploma, 10 months. Qualified in December, but I actually made the jump full time before then, because there was loads of changes going on at work, and essentially I just wasn't, I didn't want to go through what was happening at work. There's going to be loads of restructuring, and I've been through it loads of times before, and I thought, you know what, this is the right time for me to make the jump. So yeah, made the jump last September full time, and here I am now. It's absolutely flown by. Can't believe it, really.
That's amazing. And it's amazing, like those opportunities when they just kind of present themselves, and you know, if you'd have asked yourself, I'm guessing years ago, would you have ever seen yourself in a career doing hypnotherapy? It probably would have been no. Like, you know, and I think, you know, for me as a life coach as well, like I never envisioned myself to ever work for myself again after I'd done it 10 years ago. I loved it, gave it all up. COVID came, and then there was never a perfect time. And I think if you don't take that jump in those choices that we make, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to work out, but at least you can say you've tried, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's something I talk a lot with my clients about. A lot of it is around the neuroscience of the brain and our primitive part of the brain, where we don't like danger, we don't like change. So with me, and, you know, like with yourself, it'd be very easy just to stay where we are. You know, it's safe, even though we don't enjoy it, it's safe, you know, and our brain doesn't like change. So, but yeah, it was tough. You know, it wasn't easy to make that jump. You know, as you know, you're going from a role or a job that's relatively comfortable in terms of salary, and, you know, you're getting that regular payment. And but even just making that jump, you doubt yourself, don't you? It's that worry about around what other people are going to think. Are they going to judge you? And yeah, for me, it was, everybody knew me as, you know, being like, IT Tom kind of thing. That was sort of a bit like my identity, I suppose. Even with my mates, you know, if they had an issue with a laptop or whatever it might be, or the internet, they'd ask me, you know, I've got this issue. And even though I've not done that side of IT for years and years, but yeah, it was, it wasn't easy, but 100% made the right decision.
Yeah, definitely. And it's when you become almost like sort of proud of your craft, don't you? Where you go, gosh, I actually look forward to getting up in the morning, and actually look forward to going to work. Obviously, every day's not like that, especially with traffic and life. But part of, you know, when you have clients in with you and they're having a hypnotherapy session, what kind of, so for somebody that's never really got into it, they don't know what it is. I would say very seasoned. I found hypnotherapy years ago, and I love it. But some people will go, what the flipping heck is that? And again, they're going to be imagining, you know, someone on the stage going, you will go to sleep like that. And then, you know, how would you explain it to somebody that hasn't got a clue?
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, very simply, it's a hypnotherapy. I say it's a combination of talking therapy. So we'll talk about a session. So if you came for a hypnotherapy session, it would be split into two parts, where the first half an hour would be talking therapy, where we would just talk about what problems you're going through, and identifying what things are working in your life, and potentially, if life was a little bit better, what would that look like, and can we identify any very small actions to move towards that? So a lot of it is just talking therapy, and that's where a lot of the actual magic comes from.
Yeah.
But we sprinkle it with hypnosis or trance, which it's just a focused state of attention. So that's all it is, but it's just a nice relaxed state. And we often liken it to when you drive that regular route that you drive every day and you're on autopilot. That's very similar to what trance is. It's a natural state where you're just autopilot, but you're sort of thinking within yourself. But it's just a very powerful state where we can help change any unwanted thought patterns or beliefs or attitudes you might have about yourself. But yeah, very simply, it's talking therapy with a bit of hypnosis or trance, which is a nice relaxed state.
And it's really nice because as soon as you're in that state, and you know, someone that's been on that side of it where you are actually being effectively put into that state, you're either going to fall asleep. I mean, I fell asleep so many times, but people panic and they go, oh no, I fell asleep. But actually it's magic, isn't it? Because your subconscious is still taking that information in. I found this out very, very recently when one of my friends, her husband was in a coma. And when we went into the hospital, the nurse was like, well, he can still hear you. So me being me, I mean, we have this kind of relationship. I go, what are you doing in here? Do you know what I mean? And you're having that laugh and you're not panicking around them. You're being normal. And isn't it amazing how, like, even when your brain's cut off in something, it effectively still is functioning in other ways. And that's the beauty of the subconscious mind, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what so it's exactly that. So I suppose we look at our brain, you know, we've got that security guard, the amygdala, and we can turn that off, you know, so we're no longer scanning for danger, and we can talk to that subconscious mind, which has all these beliefs and attitudes about ourselves that we don't have that conscious control over. But yeah, I was going to use an analogy. What was somebody mentioned something to me the other day where they were driving, no, they had an accident on the motorway, and apparently they got took to a service station. They couldn't really recollect what had happened, but they were driving, a few months after, they were driving down the motorway, and they pulled over at that same service station and had some recollection.
Wow.
And then somebody told them that, yeah, this is where you were taken after you had the car accident. Again, your subconscious, you know, it's mad how it works, that it's taking on that information.
It's the shock, yeah, isn't it? And I had this conversation yesterday because a couple of days ago, I've not been to the dentist for a filling for, I mean, my filling lasted 22 years because I'm an ex-dental nurse. So I'm looking after my teeth, you know, but the issue that I had was in the seat. Obviously, when you give the anesthetic to numb your mouth, they can give a couple of different types. I was given the one with the adrenaline. So it puts your body into a state of fight or flight. For the first time in my entire life, I was in the dentist chair panicking. And I knew that that was not my fault. That was what was being given to me. So when you become so self-aware and you're aware of what's going on, my body's trying to panic. And I'm going, why are you panicking? You're just being stupid. So like, I'm trying to tell my brain, you're fine. It's okay. But just like, for situations like that where somebody might be afraid of the dentist, that can reintegrate fears again, you know, because of those kind of outside scenarios. Do you deal with a lot of people with those kinds of fears, like flying, dentistry, cars, that sort of thing?
Yes. So I mean, what I'm working with mainly now is, I suppose, people like I was, you know, working in that corporate world. So I'm working a lot with people who are struggling with burnout and just that chronic stress.
Yeah.
But with that as well, I'm a lot of my clients, because you mentioned, you know, the fight and flight freeze center of the brain, that is just turned on, switched on high all the time. They're suffering with anxiety across the board. So they are struggling with driving. They're literally struggling with heights. They're struggling with social anxiety, and it's purely because of that fight, flight, freeze center of the brain being activated, which is just trying to keep us safe, do its job, but it sees everything as danger. So it's just keeping us alert. And we imagine those worst case scenarios because it's just, again, just trying to keep us safe from danger. It's imagining all those scenarios. Are we prepared for that if that happens? And but yeah, I do. But I've not. I say I've not. With like fears and phobias, I'm trying to think the last one I'm working with somebody now actually with a fear of heights. What am I talking about? Yes, I'm working with somebody now with a fear of heights. Yeah, so he's previously he's done like loads of peaks in the UK, like UK Free Peaks and Yorkshire Peaks. But yeah, that's something that's just progressed over life as well. You know, he didn't really have that fear before, and he just crept in again. So now he wants to get back to enjoying.
See, it's a lot of the thing as well with especially with heights. Yeah, I found that out myself. Like when I was in my teens, I'd be at Alton Towers every weekend. I got a pass. I'd go all the time, and I'd get myself on Oblivion, Air. What was Air back then? But yeah, they go on all these things. My son asked me to go to a theme park the other day, and I sat with it, and I went, I don't think I could get on a roller coaster again. And it was really strange, like to oh, well, where's that come from? Why am I suddenly frightened? Like, where did that come from? And I think it's from a lifetime of continuous, like, fight or flight burnout, isn't it? Because
yeah. And a lot of people as well, because our minds, you know, they can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. And a lot of it can be from we imagine. So, for example, going to a theme park, for whatever reason, you know, over 10 years, you might just think, oh, I don't like going on those rides. I don't like it. It's all imagined, but because our mind can't tell the difference between imagination and reality, it thinks it's real. So the next time you go to a theme park, it's like, you don't like rides. We need to keep you safe. Let's primitive mind, you know, you're not going on that ride. So it's crazy. Yeah. It's,
and yet they're probably so like, I know that I'm aware that obviously things happen, but like you say, and I tell this to people that have got like fear. And I told myself this fear of flying. You're more than likely going to get into a car accident than you will into a plane accident. And yet it doesn't, your brain goes, I don't care. I'm not bothered. That plane is dangerous. It's in the sky. It's high. You know, it's basically a thin, tiny metal can with two massive fat engines. So the idea of like, when I think about going to Denmark in August, I think about the what ifs straight away, like what if that happens? But then that's where you learn the tools, don't you, to get yourself out of that mindset so that it doesn't take control. Because you have to basically, I look at my fight or flight response as almost like CCTV. It's constantly scanning, constantly observing, but eventually you need to give your, like my Wi-Fi cameras need an upgrade. So and that's effectively, isn't it, what hypnosis is? It's a great analogy, that like you're giving yourself an upgrade, and that's effectively what happens. So that your body is going to, obviously it's designed to scan for threats, but it identifies that not everything is a threat.
Absolutely, but the flying one's an interesting one, isn't it? And
really, I don't even know why. The last time I flew was on a flight back from Prague, and yes, one of the engines was going a bit doolally, and I think that was I didn't know back then a plane can fly on one engine. I did not know that, and I was in my head, I'm going to die, that's it, like straight away, I'm leaving my kids behind, I'm going to die,
isn't it? And that's what can happen. It's when we have a very traumatic event, and that then becomes that memory that you have, that you've built up, that gets stored in your hippocampus, and that's your memory template. So it's normally a very traumatic event, and probably, flying can be quite stressful as well, can't it? Because, we the build up to getting on the flight, and when our stress levels are a little bit higher and we go through a traumatic event, that can then stick and can turn into a fear as well.
And that's like sort of the scary reality of it, isn't it? Like, you're going to have so many people that are absolutely sitting at home now going, I will never get on a plane, I will never do this, I will never do that. And I think, like, when you come out the other side of it, I kick myself now that I've wasted 15 years of my life when I could have been out seeing the world. And now in my 30s, I'm having to make up for that now. I'm like, no, I'm going to make up for it. So like I say, I've got Denmark book, I've got Belgium book, I'm going to go see Europe, I'm going to do those things. But then my 15 years ago self will be going, wow, I can't believe you're doing that again after all these years. So it is kind of an inspiration, isn't it? And I, like I said, that's why I needed you on, because I'm like such an advocate for hypnosis. It does work.
That's great. I was just going to say, I suppose it's a bit like, driving, when we drive, if you have an accident, a bad accident, that can again, create that fear or that phobic response, because it's a very traumatic event. It's so that's probably a good way of putting it as well, but like flying as well, it's when that traumatic event does happen, that's what can create that phobic or that extreme fear response.
And it's about realizing that just because something's happened, it doesn't mean it's going to continue to happen. So your body needs to kind of learn new tactics to cope with those situations. And I think, like I say, it's a lot. Public speaking was a big one for me. I'm a firm believer as well in like exposure therapy. I purposely push myself to a limit, and I try to almost hijack my fight or flight response by going, no, you're going to do it. And, you can get on. I did a speech a few weeks ago, stood there, 40 to 50 pairs of eyes staring at me. My body's going, run, run, run. And I'm going, no. So I slipped up a few times, but it's amazing, isn't it? On the other side of it, people go, well, I didn't notice you slipped up.
This is it. And it's like with public speaking. I mean, I did a talk on, when was it? Sunday? What day is it today? Tuesday, and you practice, don't you? Have sort of your content, but people on the other side of the audience, they don't know what you're going to say.
No,
they don't know if you slip up, do they? So, but you mentioned like exposure therapy. So with hypnotherapy, especially with public speaking, we'll do that in hypnosis. So again, because the mind can't tell the difference between imagination and reality, in hypnosis, we'll get you to imagine you are public speaking, imagine that going really well, imagine the audience is really receptive, and then that can give you evidence that you can speak, you are confident. So it's really powerful again. With the exposure therapy, we do it a bit more in a safer environment in hypnosis. But
it wouldn't
the real thing, obviously, that's.
I wouldn't advise you running out in front of a bear or something like that for exposure therapy. Don't do that. No, if you've got a fear of bears, don't go and get them. But like things like spiders, that's a big one. That's a big fear. I'm not scared of spiders anymore. I used to be flipping it, but sometimes you'll get one shoot across my floor and it's the size of my hand. And in that moment, my body goes, that's a danger, but it's not going to do anything, is it? Like, it's more scared of me than it is them. But then actually I started doing things like I'd catch it in a cup. And, you know, originally I wouldn't be too scared to lift the cup. And then eventually it's like a process where you then put the paper underneath and you think, right, how am I going to get this without that spider? But when you've got that spider in that glass with a paper on the top and you're just staring at it, it's not that scary when you really look at it. But some people genuinely will not sleep in the same room if they've seen a spider. And it's like, that just goes to show you how powerful our mind can be, you know?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's and you know, spiders, that's a learned phobia. You know, it's only loud noises and fear of falling are our actual two phobias that you have from birth. So
that's right.
Yeah, it's I've worked with people that with spiders, they can't even talking about them. You know, if I say, you know, a spider has 8 legs, you know, they can't even imagine that. Or if they see it on TV, they have to turn the channel over. But yeah, it's their mind just sees that as being a threat to their life. You know, it's their primitive brain doing its job. It's a threat, as if it is a bear. You know, and it reacts in the same way. You can't tell the difference.
Do you find that the world, how it's changed, how we've become more sort of home, like say home-based, working from home, you know, we have more sort of sitting down lifestyles now. Do you find that phobias and fears tend to change based on the, like, you know, so for me, like I say, mine would be an old fear of mine used to be speaking to people. I used to have a terrifying experience with that, you know, going into a room full of people I didn't know. Now I don't care. I just walk in and go, you're all right. You know, I'm not bothered. But do you find that because the world is changing, that phobias and fears are changing, or do you think they're all kind of still on the same wave?
Really good question. I think definitely. I think the more complex fears and phobias, they're coming more to the forefront. I think definitely, you know, social anxiety. But I think that's just a product of, as you mentioned, the world that we're living in. That we are, I suppose even, you know, us, you know, we work from home. We're probably not out as much now, so our anxiety just naturally and stress levels are a little bit higher, which which makes us anxious in any situation. So I think probably social anxiety, that fear of is probably risen a bit, purely because we're not as, you know, as active as we would be, and we know when we're active we produce loads of brain chemicals that put us at our best. So we're probably not as active as we are, or interacting with people as much as we used to, which naturally means we are just more anxious as a nation. And I think we see that, don't we? I think we even see it, you know, I'm speaking to other therapists there specialising with working with children, and social anxiety with children is quite high now. It's
so sad because they are the social butterflies of humanity, kids, and you know, it's so sad. I mean, I see it with my teenage lad. He's you know, he's terrified of going to school because he's scared of what people think, and I'm trying to drill it into him. Why do you care what people think? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They don't like your shoes. Like, why does that matter? But at that age, it's such a pivotal age because they do care. And it's very frustrating when you're on the other side of that. But then I think, well, I was once like that. You know, if I'm from the era where everyone had warehouse bags at school, and if you didn't have a warehouse bag or a Jane Norman bag, you weren't cool. So you would beg your parents for the latest bag or the latest phone or whatever. And yet in hindsight, we look back now and we think, why was we even bothered? It's not. But I think the rise of social media hasn't helped because there's such a baseline now that's, you know, you have to be using you know, I've seen 7-year-olds using like anti-aging cream. I'm thinking, come off it, you know, and it's really terrifying that social media is having such an influence. It can be in a positive way, you know, it's very educational, but on the other side of it, there's almost like a bar that's been set now for young people, and they're getting burnout by trying to reach that level.
Absolutely, yeah. It's that sort of comparison society sort of we're living in now, isn't it? And it's very easy, isn't it, just to pick up your phone, even for us, go on Instagram and be scrolling for an hour and comparing yourself against what other people have, and and within half an hour, you can feel quite terrible about yourself. But yeah, but this is, I talk about this a lot to my clients as well, you know, just very simple things, just having a phone detox, you know, what that can do just on the evening.
Yeah.
Even when you watch the TV, just watch the TV, put your phone away. You know, we used to look at TV as being a bad thing, but now actually watching TV, we get a nice hit of dopamine because it requires a bit of attention to watch it, a bit of effort. So it's good for us on the phone. You know, we get a nice hit of dopamine, which crashes our system. We feel terrible. It's not great, is it? But
no, and this is the thing, because
social media can be great. You know, that's a bad side of social media. Obviously, it's great for all ways, isn't it? For that sense of connection and community, you know, it's brilliant.
It's the community element, which is great, but then it's when it, like, I see it a lot where people project a lot of phobias and insecurities through their words, and I see it a lot. I'm an admin for a group in my area, right? And it's just a typical town group, and you've got people in this group that they've got certain opinions, and these people don't agree with these opinions, and then they start having a bicker, and then admin intervene, like myself, and then they turn on you, and you're just sat there like, okay, so my mindset is, you have an opinion about the way the world is right now. I have an opinion of the way the world works. Nobody's right. It's an opinion. Whether somebody's right or not, but everyone's constantly trying to prove themselves to be something. And I think sometimes when you strip it back, LinkedIn, prime example for me, I see other coaches, they've got 6-figure salaries, they're doing this, they've got 25,000 clients under their belt. And I'm sat there going, uh-oh, I've got a lot to live up to. But then in hindsight, you don't know if any of that's actually true. They could be 6 figures in debt for all we know, you know?
That's it, yeah, that's it. They're painting that picture and we're believing it, aren't we? And as you mentioned, you know, I do the same. I look at therapists that are probably 2, 3, 4, you know, 10 years down the line from where I am. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, you know, they've, you know, 6-figure salaries and all this, and this wonderful life of painting. And, but yeah, it's,
it does make you doubt yourself, doesn't it? Like, and that's a big reality of it. And I think a lot of the time, like, I find myself getting irritated by things like AI is something that, and I did say I wanted to talk about because I think it's so relevant. Like, I see a lot of people putting frameworks out. I'm there slaving away on apps, making presentations from scratch. And then now it's Canva, prime example. I do a lot of my artwork on Canva, and I've got my little drawing pad, and I do a lot of work myself. And then you've got an AI tool which can do it all for me in 2 minutes. But I think being authentic, I think I love being creative. And I think sometimes AI actually takes that creativity away, and seeing like generic posts, and you can tell they've been written by ChatGPT or whatever. Do you find that AI is becoming prevalent in hypnotherapy? Do you find that it's becoming a tool, or do you think it's something that is quite dangerous to this kind of mindset work?
I mean, this, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, so for me, in terms of AI, you know, I use it as a tool. Again, I use it as a tool. You know, you mentioned social media for creating ideas, bouncing ideas. And I'll be completely honest with you, I fell into the trap of getting AI to probably do a lot of the legwork to create.
We've all done it.
Yeah, so, and, you know, I look back at some of my posts now, look at the captions, and you think, like, what was I doing? What was I doing?
I know.
I look at that now and I'm like, you know,
we live and we learn. We live and we learn.
It's all part of the process. But I think, again, as a tool, I think that for a lot of industries, it's great, isn't it, as a tool? So for me, helping to create content, it's great. Just for bouncing ideas off, it's brilliant. Even just for helping streamline some areas of my business, you know, it's great. You know, it's brilliant. So great as a tool. I suppose using it in hypnotherapy, using it as a tool. And I think that there is, I don't know who's using it, but I know there's some tools out there or some apps. I can't remember which one. Is it BetterHelp? And there's some out there which do use AI, you know, as part of what do you call it, like a triage process. So you can use it for therapy. So if you do have a problem, it's great to say, do you know what, ask a few discovery questions to point you in the right direction. So I think it's you know, AI as a tool, I suppose, as that first port of call to triage. I think it's got its purpose there, but you know, is an AI chatbot or whatever you want to call it going to replace a therapist? I would say absolutely not at this point, because a lot of the therapy is that therapeutic relationship, isn't it? You know, that building up that rapport. You know, when we build up a rapport with someone, the client would generally get a much better result. And that's not just in therapy, that's in anything, isn't it? That's in business. If you build a rapport with somebody, you get on really well with them, generally you'll work better together and you'll get better results. So are you going to build that rapport up with somebody who is, you know, is a chatbot? Probably not, are you? You know, as humans, we want that human reaction, human interaction, which you're not going to get from an AI chatbot. And even just with therapy as well, you know, a lot of it is like we are now, we're having a chat with facial expressions and all that, isn't it? Body language, hand movements, and it's recognising that, isn't it? And you know,
and it's
adjusting to
that.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, having that. Yeah, noticing those, I suppose, those little nuances, isn't it?
Yeah, because a lot of what I've seen on YouTube in particular, you know, for me, I have to go to sleep with something playing in the background. It's something that I enjoy. I love white noise. That's my biggest thing. I love ASMR, which is very closely linked, isn't it, with hypnotherapy? Because again, ASMR, it's a more of a physical response, but it puts you in that trance-like state. My kids love it. It has helped me at bedtime so many times, you know. But I think for me, right, my door was squeaking then. The thing is with me, it's like I see AI hypnotherapy and I find that so frustrating because you can tell. And I think for the most part, with somebody that's impersonating a human voice, it lacks something. Like when someone's talking, you've got the different variations of tone, pitch. When it's AI, yes, it can sound very human. My ChatGPT sounds just like a man. And we can have a back and forth. Google Gemini, not so much. She sounds a little bit robotic. And I'm not going to say the A one because I've got one right here and it'll start going, yes. And I'm like, no, don't say anything. But there's a lot to be said for that because, like I say, I've sat with it before and I've put one on and like a sleep hypnosis kind of thing, knocks you out at night. Brilliant. And then you're listening to it and you're going, this is lacking warmth. It's lacking human. Like it's a really weird feeling, but it's the same with, I say when I interview musicians and they say when you've got an AI lyricist, you've got a singer that's AI and it can hit pitch notes that a human can't. That's the giveaway that it's not real.
Yeah. It's even like we talk about the trance part of the session, you know, hypnosis, where, you know, we guide the client into that nice, relaxed state.
Yeah.
Even some of those imperfections in your voice, that is actually a really good part of hypnosis. You know, that's a really good part of those imperfections, which you're not going to be getting if, you know, these sort of hypnosis tracks you might see on YouTube, which are just these pre-recorded tracks. You know, you're not going to get that. I mean, those tracks, if it's designed just to help somebody relaxed, then if it achieves that, I don't really see any harm in that. But I think the therapy side of things, that's where AI is going to be, from what I can see now, it's going to be severely lacking.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the ethical parts as well, isn't it? You know, chatting to a robot.
It's that not having that like communicative relationship with you can't. I can talk. ChatGPT, I could talk his ear off and be like, "This is going on in my life." But you know, when you don't get that, you have to be a subscriber to it to get the warmth. You have to have the upgrades. And I think like I've watched this Black Mirror episode about this where you have to upgrade things to get the benefits out of something. Well, a human voice is free, and I would rather go to a therapist or a person for that AI might be able to do it, but it's not the same, because your body anyway craves connection. Your brain craves it. And so even in a professional stance, when everyone started working from home, yeah, I suppose it's great in some ways, because if you don't fancy people in, that's brilliant. But you still, I used to have to force myself in my last job to go into the office. I used to hate going in. But then when I was in and I was having conversations with colleagues, I'm like, oh, I actually needed this more than I realized. So, I think there's definitely a time and a place for it. And I just don't think it works in therapy. That's my opinion. But yeah.
So, yeah, completely agree. But yeah, like you mentioned there about that social interaction, and it's something, again, really talk about with my clients. We always talk about the 3Ps. So positive actions, positive interactions, and positive thinking. But that positive interactions, we as a species, it's hardwired that we like to interact with each other. We're a social tribe, and it makes us feel good when we do work together, because when we were cavemen, we had to stay together because we were more successful as a tribe. So when you mentioned when you go to work, you speak to people, you get a nice hit of all these brain chemicals that make you feel good. So yeah, really important that
yeah, especially when you go in and you dread going into the office, and then you come out and you feel lighter, and you think, why do I feel like that? That's really bizarre. And I think, for me anyway, I work 90% in my old job at home, and I got very depressed. And now I understand why that was, because I'm not built for homework life. I love nothing more than like a conversation like this, because I'm actually still speaking to somebody. But then if I'm out and about, someone talks to me in a cafe or whatever, I love it, because I'm like, oh, people, I can talk and have that communication, and you do feel good for it. But I think for people with social anxiety, isolation is a massive factor of it, isn't it? Where they feel lonely and isolated, and then that drives more of that isolation. And then when you break that cycle, it's amazing what happens when you see somebody come out of that. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. And you can't you? Like you mentioned, you can get stuck in that, so that grip of a vicious circle, can't you? Where your anxiety and your stress levels, you're not sleeping, it just repeats until something has to change. Something has to change to break that cycle.
And they do a lot of like befriending services now as well, where if like, especially with parents, I worked with young children in like a playgroup setting, and the amount of mums that would just come to playgroup for a chat with another mom, it's just because it is such a lonely world being a mom. And, especially when you're a new mum and you don't know, you've gone from having maybe an avid, bubbly social life. You could go to Ibiza at weekends if you wanted to. You've got a busy life, social life. Then you have a baby and you're at home with that baby alone. If you've got a partner and they're at work, and you're sat with that and you're going, oh, I have nobody, I'm lonely. And then that's when the social anxiety creeps in. So a lot of what I do, I teach people about why they feel the way that they feel. Is that similar with what you do? Like, do you like to identify those problems and then use hypnosis to gain from it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of my work is, I say probably a lot of the magic is around that education piece, and just education around how our brain works, because ultimately it is our brain and our mind that paints the picture of the world that we live in. Nobody's telling us to think a certain way about any situation. Of course, we're human and we react naturally to certain problems. We can't just, not react to anything, but we've got control over the power of our thoughts. So absolutely, educate the clients on how they can think and feel at the best, and, why they might feel anxious, or why they might have these negative thoughts, or why they can't sleep at night, and the way they're thinking about work or questioning life choices. But yeah, absolutely, a lot of it is around that, and then what they can do to change that, to break that cycle.
Exactly. And that's the big one, isn't it? It is about breaking those cycles, because some people will be sat at home going, I will never fix this. This is always going to be something that I'm going to have to live with it. And I've been there. And I didn't think I'd ever get over a fear of flying. And here I am, and I just wanted to ask so if someone's at home listening now and they go, I'm interested, but I'm scared of what that's going to look like going into those sessions. What would you tell a client that's frightened about the process, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so I would say the process is all positive and uplifting and forward focused. So whilst we do acknowledge what might happen during the past, just to understand, the problems you're going through and what might be the best course of action. That's it. We don't delve into the past and dig through the weeds and keep trying to identify why you're still feeling as you are. It's all future focused. So, and the hypnosis part, it's just a natural state you go in and out of multiple times a day. We mentioned about the driving, but even if you're watching TV and you're completely focused, and if somebody's trying to talk to you and you can't,
what?
yeah, that's it. Or even or at the gym or going for a run and you're just completely focused. That's it. So it's completely natural state. It's an
amazing state, though, isn't it? Do you know the worst time to do it though is when you're sat at traffic lights and you go into a trance. You might have some music on and you're just there, and then someone goes beep, and you're like, "Oh, sorry." Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, it still happens to me occasionally. Yeah,
it's terrible for that one. I think it's because you get so sort of in the moment, and I think a lot of, like, for me, I listen to quite high intensity music, so when I'm driving, I'm in that mode, in that zone. It is almost like a trance, isn't it? Because you're in your space. You sometimes, even the autopilot for me, you go, like, say, the same route every day, and then you get there and you think, how the hell did I get here? Because you just go and nothing else matters. Like,
we say literally, it's that focused state of attention where you just switched off the outside world. So the outside world's gone and it's just you there. And with the music, outside world doesn't care. You're singing along or whatever you're doing.
That feeling. No, for me, my therapy is also being at, like, concerts, gigs. Like, I speak about this with musicians about how, like, I listen to music that's sort of like 170 odd BPM, and it's quite rhythmic. And when I'm actually in, like, I hate calling them raves because people assume the worst out of a rave. No, people go to dance and have a good time. It doesn't always have to mean substances, but here we are. I don't do any of that, but I go as a sober solo person. I will go, and when I'm next to, and I'm in that zone and I've got the music and you feel the vibrations going through your body, you become like that dopamine. You cannot understand it until you've witnessed it and been in that moment. But afterwards, you get almost like a low period because you crave it again. And I think that's the same with, like, sort of going into that hypnotic state, because you come out of it feeling incredible. But because it is a natural response, not a forced induced response, you almost, like, your body learns how to do it on its own as well. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, how our brain is just incredible.
It really is, yeah. But I mean, the music side of things, I mean, I'm a massive fan of music, and I always post on the social media about music and what that's done for me. And when I was working in my previous role, that sort of left me. So when, probably from the age of like 17 to 30, I was going to gigs. Probably, at some point, once a week, I'd go into a gig once a week, and it was like that, got guitars, playing music all the time, and that sort of just drifted away, stopped. And then I've got back into it, and the change it can have, like, it's just, especially live music, when you go to a gig, it's
something you can't explain it until I don't get the same feeling at, like, if you go to, like, Wembley Arena or it's not the same. It's not. It's because it's so it's loud. Obviously it's loud, but, like, there's just it's too much going on. When it's sort of like what I went to Manchester not too long ago, I can't think of the venue's name now, but it at, like, Albert Hall, that was it. It was like probably have about 500 to 1,000 people in there, so it weren't too busy, but it was hot. I know that it was very, very hot, but I was on the front row and I'm looking up at, like, my favorite DJs, my favorite artists, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. But as soon as your favorite songs, I mean, there was some parts I was crying my eyes out, because the emotion that you get from that, the love that you get from that moment, you just crave it again and again and again. And that's I think, for the most part, anyone that's gone through, like, those anxieties and traumas and stuff like that, I think that's why music is such a deep impact, isn't it? Because we relate so heavily to it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But even just looking back, sort of me and my me and my mates, if we sort of look back at sort of our best times, it'll always be, remember this gig, remember that gig. It's all, so it just shows how powerful it is. Yeah, so with music, I always another one with my clients. I always talk about the power of music and how I always recommend this, and to anybody out there. A lot of people will do this already, but play your favorite song, or maybe an upbeat song, and if you can sing to it, that even better. Do that. Play your favorite song, sing to it, and really go for it. And I can tell you after that, you're going to feel on top of the world when you really go for it.
Oh yeah.
That can just really shift your mindset and shift your mood.
It does.
You get all those brain chemicals again, which makes us feel good. So if we can do that to change our state, then why don't we do more of it? It makes sense.
Also, when you actually hit that note, like if there's a part in the song where it's quiet and you hit it, you're like, yes, I've done it. Now I'm the next Mariah Carey. Let's go.
That's it. There's still a chance for me to make it the big time, hit the big time. Absolutely, yeah.
Never say never. I'm still hoping out there. I've got a little bucket list on my wall here, and I always encourage my clients to write a bucket list because it's things to work towards. People see it as empty promises. Mine is my first one: get on a plane. And I'm going to do that this year. But my second one is feature on a drum and bass track. And everyone thinks I'm dead daft for putting that. But no, I'm going to do it.
That's a good one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm not a bad singer. I don't think I'm a bad one, but I can't hit those high-pitched notes because I've tried. And I sound like a strangled cat. But, that's all right.
No, I like the sound of it. I like the sound of it. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that track.
Yeah. And I think for the most part, if you write down 10 things that you want to achieve in your life. I mean, you can have things like mine is own my house outright. I'd love to pay this mortgage off and go, this is my house now. Like, never say never. It will happen, just 30 years, but it will happen. But if it happens sooner, brilliant. But it's things like, really random one, but I've got a Volkswagen T-Roc R line. I want the R version though. I'm going to work towards getting the R version because why not? That's what I want, and I'm going to do it. But I think for the most part, a lot of what we do look at is very materialistic things like owning a house outright, whatever. But just getting over a fear through hypnosis, and if that's on someone's bucket list and they tick that off, that's fabulous, isn't it?
Massive achievement. But yeah, I like that. Yeah. So with the goals setting, that's I've done it for probably the last couple of years now. I don't know if you've done a vision board before.
Yeah, I've got one here.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, I've got it on my phone. I've got it upstairs, and that's got exactly like your goals. It's got quite a few materialistic things on there, again, it's great for visualization again, and then you become a magnet towards that, and just the power of the mind again, that
we are what we attract, basically.
Exactly that. Yeah, there's actually part of the brain, that reticular activating system. We can train that to look out for these things. So if we can do that, we should do it, shouldn't we?
And a lot of people, they say to me in client sessions, they'll go, oh, well, I'm always attracting negative people and I'm always doing this. I'm saying, well, I'm not saying it's your fault, but if you've got the same mindset, you vibrate on the same frequency as somebody else, you're going to keep attracting it. You've got to break that cycle. And it's amazing what happens when you do that, because the people that didn't want you to succeed in the first place, they do show their true colors. It's every time. and it's very satisfying because you go, oh, sorry.
But it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's again, you have to, even for me now, going to networking meetings where you are with those like-minded individuals, everybody wants to succeed, don't they? Everybody's pushing to succeed, and it makes you feel good. That can be so powerful. Even for me, yesterday I went to a networking event. It was an outdoor one, networking.
Oh, that looks
really
amazing.
Yeah, that was, again, just being out in nature, how powerful that was again around like-minded individuals. But even if you are surrounded by people who are negative, if you do change and you become positive, you can have that effect on them. So it can be, it
goes either way, doesn't it? They kind of either distance themselves because they're not ready. And I always look at that. If someone's quite a negative individual, they're not ready. And that's okay. But it's when they want to change, that's when those miracles happen. And it's such a beautiful thing watching somebody change like that. It's incredible. So, but yeah. But no, honestly, it's been an amazing talk. And I could carry on for hours because it's just such a beautiful topic, isn't it? The mind and how.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is, really is.
But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. I'm quite interested on the music one, so I could probably talk on the music.
We'll do
one.
another one. Okay. We'll do another one. It'll be fine.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. You can find my podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, and don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. See you next time.